Hello students, we're going to finish off exercise 3.7 by looking at question 10. So what I'll do in this video is just do determining the values of C and D, and then we'll follow that up with sketching the graph and determining the weight of the chick after 8 months, etc. But the hard bit is part A. Okay, so let's get started. Now this is probably a complex, unfamiliar question. As you might have guessed, it's going to end up, because there's two variables that we don't know, two unknowns, I should say, and we have information at two different times. This is going to be done by solving the equations simultaneously, but it's going to be slightly more challenging in terms of the algebra. So you might want to have a go on your own. Otherwise, just follow along for now. So there's the equation just there. Notice I've changed the log to natural log to log base e, which is my preferred way to write it when I'm actually basically solving equations or working with the logs. So what we know is when t equals 1, w is 4.9, which is what we have here. So we sub those in, which gives us that. So we've got to basically do some algebra to get this in a better form. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 17, which gives us that equation. I also wrote the log on the left-hand side, and the 4.9 divides 17 on the right-hand side. Now, I thought rather than have to write that fraction anymore, I'm going to go ahead and turn it into a decimal now. So what I've done is I've turned it into a decimal to 3 decimal places. So the final answer has to be to 2 decimal places. One rule for working with decimals is don't round too much to start with, otherwise you'll end up with a slightly incorrect answer. So I'm going to keep it at 3 decimal places for now. So I can now rewrite this as an exponential equation. E raised to that power equals this, which is what I have. And e raised to that power, I can use my calculator to work that out. And that comes out to be 1.334 to 3 decimal places. And in the end, what I want to do is get d equals, which is what I'll do just there. So I'll get rid of that. Okay, so there's our first equation. We're going to do the same sort of thing using the values of t equals 6 and w equals 19.1. So that's just there. Now what I did here, instead of doing all the algebra, I said if I come down to here, even if I come down to here, I can see that I can go ahead and write this equation using those values. So this is what I did next. I just basically said instead of 1 over c, it's 6 over c. And instead of 4.9 over 17, it's 19.1 over 17. So same equation, just different values. Once again, I turned that into a decimal. And once again, I wrote that as an exponential function, like so. And final step was to rewrite it, or the second final step, I should say, is to rewrite it like so. So basically what I did there is I just turned that into a decimal and wrote the 6c plus d on the left. And once again, I just said subtract 6 on c from both sides, and that gives me a second equation. So here's my 2 equations, 2 unknowns. And because each of these expressions equals d, I can set them, oops, I won't do it all the way down, I'll go like so. I can set them equal to each other. So now we have to solve that equation for C. And again, what you might want to be doing is just, if you want to stop and have a think about the next step, stop the video temporarily, think, okay, what would I do to get it to solve for C now? And then you can start the video again once you have something in your head or on paper, and then see if you're correct or not. Well, you might be correct, but I might do it differently, of course. So we might both be correct. Anyhow, what I'm going to do here, to get anything out of a denominator in an algebraic equation, you just multiply by that denominator. So I'm going to multiply that, and that all by c, and that's going to give me that equation just there. So that's times c. If I multiply that by c, it just becomes 1. Multiply that by c, multiply that by c, it just becomes 6. And what I'm going to do now is put those two c terms together and the numbers together. And that's going to give me, oh, I haven't done that quite yet. I just basically moved the, oh, yes, I did. I've got the two c terms on that side, that one minus that one. And on this side, I brought the 6 to that side, making it plus 6 minus 1 is 5. Okay, subtract the two c terms, which gives us that. And that gives us a value for c, which I've got to scroll down now. And that gives us the value for c. Okay, now that we know what c is, we've got to go back to one of our two equations and find out what d is. So I'm going to go ahead and plug into this one just here. So from equation 1, d equals 1.334 minus 1 over 2.87, and there's our value for d. So we finally have finished the first part of 10a. We have found the two values for c and d. All right, now to sketch this, I think the sensible thing to do would be to put this into your graphics calculator. You know what the values of c and d are, so you can put them into there, and then just go ahead and sketch it on your graphics calculator. And for that matter, to do part B, once we've got that, we just put 8 in for t into the equation, and we can then go ahead and work out the predicted weights. In fact, I might not do any more videos. I think the rest of it you can do pretty safely on your own. So that's it for section 3.7.